From the PEN studios, this is the Imperfect Moms Club with your hosts, Lisa and Brittany.
On this week's episode of Imperfect, Lisa chats with Krisler Bailey about inviting kids to help with housework.
Welcome back to the Imperfect Moms Club.
Thank you.
How have you been since the last time you recorded with us?
Oh my goodness, busy. I am still teaching. I just got added to, at the last minute, another class for this university that I'm an adjunct for. So it's quite unheard of for an adjunct to teach more than 2 classes at a university, but I'm teaching 4 this semester. So I'm trying to get that all squared away. And this is actually the first summer that my kids have not been in any sort of summer camp program. So they've been home with me all summer long. So that's different as well, because normally I have a good 4 or 5 hours during the day to get my work done and, clean the house and things like that. And it's a good thing you guys cannot see what's happening on this side of the mic because it's a little chaotic right now. But yeah, I'm doing great. Just, plugging along, trying to navigate this crazy world we are in right now.
Yes, it is a crazy world right now. So today I wanted to talk about this cool article that I found about children helping. But before we dive into that, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to reintroduce yourself, just in case people didn't hear your last episode. If you could just share what you do, kind of a little bit about your life.
Okay, well, I am a wife of 13 years. I am a mom of 2 boys. So my oldest is 9 and the younger one is 7. And I'm a professor. I've been a professor for about 20 years. And my most recent passion is wellness and gut health. So I have been a part of a company that sells supplement and does a lot of focus on gut health. So I've been doing that for the past 4 years. So that's what I've been doing with my life for a while.
Awesome. And just so everyone knows, your episode is The Working Mama, A Balancing Act. I don't remember exactly the number episode, but yeah, just so people can listen to that if they want. But anyways, for today's episode, I wanted to bring up an article that one of my good friends sent me a while back. And this essay is called, Are We Raising Unhelpful Bossy Kids? Here's the Fix, which I'm not crazy about that title, but it's authored by Michaeline Duclef. She has a PhD and she's also a mom. And she has an entire book on the subject called Hunt, Gather, Parent. And so I'll link the essay to the show notes as well as the book for anyone who's interested in that. So as we can probably deduce from the essay's title, centers around raising children to be helpful with their families. So Dr. Duclef writes about her study of several different cultures, including the Maya, the Inuit, and the Hadzabe. These cultures, the young children are really helpful. And so she's like, well, what is it? What are they doing? Because it seems like it's more prevalent, in the cultures that she's seen more so than in ours. So she wanted to know, what are they doing? After countless hours of research, Duclef has 2 key tips for us. So I wanted to share them and talk about them. So I'll go over the first one, and then I want to get into an experiment that she also writes about that I thought was pretty neat. So the first one, she tells us not to shoo kids away from helping. And she talks about something that I actually have been guilty of in the past is a lot of times parents will they'll keep their kids from doing stuff because they're in their head, they're like, oh, they're going to make a mess or they're going to make it harder for me or something. And so I don't know if that's something that you've experienced, but yeah, there are times when I'm like, no, I don't want you to, or let go of the vacuum or, don't. Lily, she's 2. And so I'm like, oh, it's just going to make a bigger mess for me. And then I'm going to have to clean it up. So
right.
What's your experience been with that?
Yes, I have had that experience as well. I think that a lot more it has happened when they were little, because there's this expectation that they don't know what they're doing or they're not going to do it right. And it will cause more work in the end. And of course, they're young, so they don't have the control over their bodies that adults do.
Yeah.
And so, kind of in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, they can't grip it as well, or they are not as strong. So if something tips, like they may not be able to pull it back up, or, whatever it is. So yeah, I've definitely had that in the back of my mind. Now that my kids are a little bit older and they do help out, I think I wonder what it would have been like had I started some things earlier. Just thinking about, and there's also a fear too, like thinking about cooking, for example. I know there's a lot of people that allow their kids to cook and, do different things. And there's research that shows that kids that are present and participate in those things, that they maybe make better choices, or they are more willing to try new things and so forth. And so, but there's that fear of, what if they cut themselves? What if they burn themselves? There's a lot of dangerous things in the kitchen. I mean, I burn myself all the time. So there's that too, that I've had. But, now that my kids are older, I always wonder, what would it have been like had I had them try XYZ?
Right.
Would they be less picky eaters, or would they be more willing to be adventurous or try new things? So, I think there's two sides to that.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Yeah, there's two sides to everything. I was talking to Brittany the last time we were recording, and it's frustrating sometimes with parenthood how there's two sides to everything. Like there's not like one clear way to do something. It's always
right.
like, and you're going to hear about. But yeah, so I wanted to share, I guess, a quote from the essay. She talks about this, the psychologist named Lucia Alcala, quote, "But Alcala and other psychologists say this shooing away or excluding kids from helping can have negative consequences. Over time, it may erode a child's motivation to help and possibly extinguish their desire to cooperate," end quote, which, I agree with this. I mean, even in my adult life, like if somebody continues to tell me like, hey, like, don't do that, or hey, I got this, or hey, whatever, like eventually I'm gonna be like, okay, cool. You got this. So, so it's definitely like, there's two sides of it. There's you don't want them to hurt themselves because they can't do something, but at the same time, you want them to learn how to help and to be, so it's tricky. So Ducliffe writes more about Lucia Alcala's observations, saying, quote, "If parents purposefully do chores while the child is not there, or tell the child to go away or watch TV or something, or they micromanage, like they give too many instructions or corrections, then the children will lose interest, not just in the chores, but in helping their parents in general." So I guess she's kind of saying like, even if you don't have them doing something, just like do things near them or around them so that they see that you're like doing something, which I agree with. I don't know. It's interesting. I find it really interesting because I mean, Lily helps me with stuff. Like I'll have her unload the dishwasher with me, or, she'll help me do stuff. And she talked about, so Lucia Alcala did a lot of research on siblings as well. And so she did this experiment that I wanted to talk about. She kind of made a mock grocery store, and she told the kids, okay, in this grocery store, there's a bunch of stuff to make dinner for at home. And so go find a route in the grocery store and find things for dinner. And, and so the siblings, like the older siblings, some of them would kind of acted like the parents, like they would kind of not let the younger siblings help, or not let the younger siblings like, hey, what about this? Or,
Right.
She did find that the younger siblings did lose interest. They were like, okay, well, they've got this, and other siblings, it was the reverse. Like some older siblings were like, yeah, let's do this together.
Yeah.
And then the younger siblings were more engaged. So there's number 2, I guess. The second thing that she talks about in this essay for us to do is subtasks. So she calls it 3 subtasks an hour. She talks about, you mentioned cooking earlier, for example, like instead of having them do something big that they might burn themselves or might something, it's something like, hey, go grab a spoon, or hey, hold the bowl while I stir, or something like that. That's pretty neat, right? I mean, in your mind, it's something insignificant, but to, to a 2-year-old, they're like, oh yeah, I'll go get you a spoon.
Right.
So, yeah.
And
so I don't know.
I would also think that maybe giving them an alternative, like if my youngest likes to set the table sometimes, and so I don't always remember to ask him to do that. So he'll come and ask me and say, oh, can I put the plates and forks on the table? And I'll say, oh, I already did that, but can you grab the cheese out of the, if we're having pasta or whatever, can you grab the Parmesan out of the refrigerator and put it on the table for me? That would be helpful.
Yeah.
And so I think even maybe giving them something else to do, if it's already done, giving them an additional task or still finding a way for them to help still gives them a way to be involved and not maybe feel like they were forgotten.
Yeah, I think that's great. With Lily, I love when she can help me out, and I do notice that she'll like get sad, like if she wanted to unload the dishwasher and I'm like, it's done, she's like, no. And so I'm like, oh, so I don't know. I mean, it's hard to always think about that though. Like, my mom's like, we're busy or whatever. So, of course we can't always think to do all this stuff. Right. But,
right.
But it is good to think about. It's cool. Yeah. So she talks about this other researcher her name is Sheena Lou Levi of Simon Fraser University in Canada. And she studied a group of foragers called the Biyaka in the Republic of the Congo. And they actually, 3 subtasks an hour, where that comes from is this tribe would keep requesting small things of the youngest children. This researcher followed this group for 4 hours a day and kind of wrote down everything that the parents told their kids. So she noticed that several times an hour, 3 times an hour, go do this or just small things. It was interesting because then she noticed that after a while, the kids would just do things. Like you stop, they didn't need to, after a while, the kids were like, oh, I'm going to go do this now because it's time to do it or because I noticed that needs to be done or something. And so I definitely think that the more we give little tasks to small children, like the more they're gonna, they're gonna grow up and be like, oh yeah, I need to do this now. And,
right.
So I don't know. I think that's pretty great. And then of course, as the kids got older, they would get bigger tasks, right? But they would start with small things because, small children,
right?
We're not going to like put them in danger, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting. And then there's a quote here. So the children start to preempt what's needed, and then the less parents need to be telling them what to do. So you can pull back on the teaching and kids just do it on their own, which is what I just mentioned. I think it's neat, because kids do learn and they do learn by example, right? And so with the siblings, like if their parents are teaching them to help, then they're going to also teach their younger siblings to help. Like now we have, we have Lily and now we have 3-month-old Holly. And so I'm thinking, oh man, if I'm teaching Lillian how to unload the dishwasher with me, maybe she'll teach Holly how to help her, and stuff like that. So what about your boys? Do they help each other with things around the house?
They do. I think that the older one tends to take a lot more initiative and he'll just want to do it by himself. We have a guest room in our house and they get to sometimes go in there and watch TV in the guest room. And, I've told them it's going to be your responsibility to make sure that the bed doesn't stay messy. You have to, once we're done, turn the TV off, close it up, and make sure that the bed is not a wreck. And of course, there have been plenty of days where the bed is a wreck. But, I've said, okay, well, you guys are responsible for making sure that the bed gets made. So my older son will go in there and he'll start doing it. And the younger one is like, well, he's doing it all. I'm like, well, you can't just stand there, if he's on one side of the bed, then you go on the other side of the bed and you work on that side. You can each work on a side and kind of help each other pull the sheets up and kind of get them straightened out. And you do one pillow and he does another pillow. So I think the older one kind of takes over and does everything. And then the younger one's like, well, he's doing it, so I don't have to do anything. It's like that for that. But then other things that we have, they share a bathroom that they are now responsible for cleaning. I use the word cleaning very loosely right now. They're still learning what clean really is. So they share that responsibility. We have had to be very clear in saying, one day you clean the toilet and your brother cleans the bathtub. And then the next week, when they clean it again, they switch, because one would always clean the bathtub. And then the other one would be like, you have been cleaning the bathtub for 3 weeks. So we had to create this system of, you share this responsibility. So one does it 1 week and then you switch to do it the next week.
Oh, cool.
So yeah.
We're going to take a short break, and then when we get back, we will start talking about some of the things that we can do in our homes to keep things organized.
The Imperfect Moms Club is brought to you by...
Look at that, huh? So they just magically showed up. I mean, literally, I just opened the door and they were there.
I ordered them, honey.
Oh.
We are very happy with our new Casper.
The Comfort is like a Lucius cloud, one of the softer clouds. But it's also a firm cloud, like a Aratio cloud. Always want to be a weatherman. Guess who I am?
It's the most exciting thing that's happened in our bedroom in a long time. A long time. Right?
I was on the fence about changing from a manual to an electric toothbrush, but my hygienist said going electric could lead to way cleaner teeth. She said get the one inspired by dentists, with the round brush head.
Go pro with Oral-B. Oral-B's gentle rounded brush head removes more plaque along the gum line for cleaner teeth and healthier gums. And unlike Sonicare, Oral-B is the first electric toothbrush brand accepted by the ADA for its effectiveness and safety.
What an amazing clean. I'll only use an Oral-B.
Oral-B. Brush like a pro.
This is the Imperfect Moms Club on PEN. Get in touch with the show through the PEN listener hotline at 833-PODS-NET. That's 833-763-7638. And now, back to the Imperfect Moms Club on the Podcast Entertainment Network.
So welcome back to the Imperfect Moms Club. I wanted to kind of talk to you about, we have, our kids kind of can help us and they do little subtasks, but there's still a lot to be done around the house, and there's still a lot of things that, our small children can't do, right? Like there's still a lot on us as moms. So I wanted to ask you, like, what are the things that you do to kind of stay on top of that? I guess because I have trouble with it. I mean, there's only so much that Lily can help me with, and, my husband's working all day. And so what are the things that you do to kind of keep from going completely insane?
So there's a few things I've done with food, for example. When my firstborn was about 2.5, I guess he was kind of nearing 3. That's when my second was born. So it was very crazy because I had been on bed rest for a long time. So he didn't really have me to do very much. And so then he didn't have me again because little brother was here, and it was a rough transition. And he was getting up super early in the morning, and then he was napping, but like not a really long, good nap. It was just a rough time. So one of the things that I started doing when he would get up super early was, he would always ask for breakfast or milk or whatever. So I would prepare like a cup of milk for him, and I would put it in the refrigerator on the shelf low enough for him to be able to just grab it and go. And then I got these soft over the closet shoe hangers and put like snacks down in the bottom 2 rows, and I put it in our pantry. So he could go in, grab like a little snack, grab his milk, and then he could come and he could sit in the kitchen or sit on the floor in my room, and he could just sit and eat. And then it wasn't that I had to get up, like if I was in the middle of feeding the baby or what have you, like I didn't have to get up and do things or direct him. He already knew what to do. So that became like our routine where he would just get up in the morning, he would grab something, he would get his milk, and then he would sit and he would eat it and have his milk. So that kind of started him off that way. And once he got a little bit older, added snacks and different things that were appropriate for him at that age. And it just became the norm for him to be able to go, not just in the morning, but anytime you know, he wanted a snack, or I would say, can you go grab this? He knew where to go get it. And that became like just a normal thing for us. And it worked out really, really, really well, especially in those early mornings when I was just not ready to get up.
Oh my God, I've been there.
Oh, they're rough.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot, actually. And plus it's making him so much more independent too. Like just knowing that he can, you know, he can go do something for himself and he doesn't need to rely on you to get him a snack or something. That's pretty cool.
Right. So other things that I've done when he became school age and, you know, he was really starting to kind of get himself ready in the morning, I started him off with 3 things that I wanted him to do on his own in the morning. You know, he would have to get himself dressed. He would have to get his breakfast, his snack, his milk, whatever it was that he wanted to eat. You know, I just gave him like 3 things. And then as the year went on, like this started at kindergarten. So as the year went on, we got further into, like I added things onto his list. And so as he got older, his list has gotten longer. And now he has a list to where he does everything in the morning on his own, and I don't really have to do anything for him anymore. So he still has, it's written out for him and his brother. It's like I have a little small chalkboard. It just hangs on the mirror in their bathroom. And so it's a reminder, because kids can be gross and they forget to brush their teeth or, you know, whatever, put on deodorant. So those types of things are on the list. It's all the little things that you do in the morning to get yourself ready to get out the door, including pack your backpack, get breakfast, take your vitamins, those types of things. It's all on the list. And that way they know if I'm not available for them, they know they can just go and look and see, oh, I've done this and this and this. Oh, but I forgot this. I need to do that before we leave the house. And so they also are not allowed to have any sort of electronics or TV or anything in the morning, because they get distracted really easily. And they know if they get through their list and they're totally done before we walk out the door, then they can watch TV for 15 minutes or whatever, how much time they have. But that's like a big thing. I know they're gonna get distracted. So I give them this list, and then that way they can kind of focus on that. And it's made a huge difference in the morning, because I know mornings are hard for a lot of people. They can be very rushed. They can be very frantic. You know, you're running out the door with like your shirt still not fully buttoned, and you have half a coffee and your kid in tow and your briefcase that's, you know, not zipped up, and you're afraid something's going to fall. Like, it's just, it can be such a chaotic mess in the morning for a lot of people. So that's just something that's given me a little bit of breathing room, but also given them responsibility to get their stuff together. And my kids know, like, if they forget something, that I'm not bringing it to them. So like, if you forgot your lunch or your, you know, your homework or whatever it is, like, that's on you, dog. So you know what, pack it up the night before, pack it up that morning. But if you're not gonna get it done, then, well, yeah, I guess you'll just have to barter for food at school or something.
Oh my God, that reminds me, actually just a little unrelated, but that reminds me of a funny, when I was in elementary school, I was in like 5th grade band, and we had band practice, and I played the flute. I don't know how this happened, but I left without my flute because I was a really smart 5th grader. And so anyway, so I get there, and obviously I don't have what I need. And yeah, I called my house, and my grandpa had been visiting us, and so we lived really close. So like, we lived like right next to like the playground where my school was. So I remember my grandpa like walking from my house to the school and like giving me my flute, and I felt really bad. But anyway, that just reminded me of So we are going to take another quick break, and then we'll talk a little bit about how our kids help us with chores around the house.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Imagine a world where potty training is fun, fast, and easy. Only pull-ups have Disney graphics that fade when wet to teach big kids to stay dry. So they're motivated to keep the music going.
I'm a big kid now.
Crest sensitivity turns your ocean to ice. nice and cold, but the sensitive teeth thing is getting old. Time to say goodbye to the pain, cause having sensitive teeth is just so lame.
Crest gum and sensitivity turns your house to eye. 80% of sensitivity starts at the gum line. Treat it at the source with Crest Gum and Sensitivity. Crest, healthy, beautiful smiles for life.
No matter what all the baby experts say, the perfect way to care for your baby is your own way. And that inspired our perfect diaper to be the softest ever with plant-based materials. Huggies Special Delivery.
Enjoying this show? Be sure to check out all the shows across the Podcast Entertainment Network, where there's a show for every interest. Visit www.podcastentertainment.com to browse through the full collection of shows. And now, back to the Imperfect Moms Club on the Podcast Entertainment Network.
Welcome back. Krisler, I wanted to ask you, when we're talking about chores like cleaning the house, what do your kids do to help you clean things? I know you mentioned the bathroom and toilets, but talking more, I guess, in depth about different rooms in the house. So what do they do?
So, like I said, they share a bathroom. So that is their responsibility to clean it, and they clean once a week. I've actually added one thing to their nighttime routine to help with the bathroom not getting too disgusting by the end of the week. And that is they each are supposed to wipe down their sink each night just to kind of get the globs of toothpaste that really should have been on their toothbrush and in their mouth that end up in the sink. So, things like that to kind of minimize the big cleaning on the weekend. They each are responsible for their rooms. So once a week, they fully clean their rooms, get their toys off the floor, all that kind of stuff. We have a vacuum that's small enough for them. It's still pretty heavy duty, but it's small enough and light enough for them to push.
Oh, nice.
So they each vacuum their room once a week.
Wow.
And they switch off with vacuuming our playroom. So they clean that up and then they will switch off vacuuming that. They also now help my husband with collecting the trash every week for trash day. So they're responsible for their bedroom and then one other room in the house. So typically, to try to keep it pretty consistent, one will get their bathroom and then another will get another bathroom in the house. And sometimes, we'll ask them, oh, can you grab mom and dad's trash too, or something like that. But they just help my husband with that, collecting all the garbages and getting that put out. One of the things that I haven't done as much, but am planning on doing is getting my kids more involved with cooking. They both will express interest periodically in helping cook something, or like if we do pizza and we do homemade pizza or whatever, and when I say homemade pizza, like the crust is already made, so I'm not making homemade crust, but all the other stuff we add on there. Pizza. So they will, help do that. I will have them grab things that I need, kind of be my little sous chefs and grab things that I need so that I have all the ingredients and things like that. But I'm looking into getting them like their own set of knives that are smaller so that they can use it. And then my firstborn has said he wants his own oven mitts because we have an air fryer. And so he uses that quite often.
Oh, cool.
He's been making his own lunch a lot in the past few weeks of the summer. So that's been great. And he will also help his brother get lunch and stuff, but he needs oven mitts. The ones that we have are just big. They're just for adults. So, he's asked to have his own kid size oven mitts so that he can kind of maneuver a little bit better. But that's been really, really helpful too, because when I'm teaching, sometimes I'll teach a summer class or something like that. And now that, we're going to be entering into the fall semester, I'm doing a lot of preparation and I need to be working. It's great that he can get his own lunch, but also help his brother with what he needs. So that's been really, really helpful for them to be able to do that on their own.
Man, that sounds awesome. Your kids sound great. You're giving me like a bunch of ideas. I'm like, man, when Lily gets older, I'll have her do this and this.
Yeah.
Right now, Lily's only 2. So the things I have her do are very simple things. So she'll help me unload the dishwasher. And she gets so excited, like her face lights up when I'm like, do you want to help me unload the dishwasher? She's like, yeah. And it's like, but she'll come over and she'll I'll have her take the utensils out of the little utensil part. And it's kind of cool too, because she'll like tell me what kind of utensil it is. So I feel like I'm like teaching her at the same time, which is neat.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she'll do that. And then she really likes helping me unload groceries. So she used to, so it's cool seeing like the development and like them growing, because she used to like steal stuff and like run away with it or like take the bags, but now she won't do that. Now she'll hand them to me so I can like put them in the fridge or put them in the pantry or whatever. So it's neat to see that progression. And when I'm vacuuming or something, like of course she can't hold it herself and push it herself because she doesn't really know, but she'll hold it with me. And so I'll kind of show her, like if there's crumbs, I'll show her, oh, there's crumbs over here. So I'll kind of guide her. So she'll help me do that. But yeah, like I mean, and then her toys, like she has this big bag of Mega Blocks, and she loves these Mega Blocks. And so I'm always, every evening now, we'll go into her room and I'll say, do you want to help me put the blocks away? And she even sings, like she's like, clean up. But yeah. So those are the things that Lily does. But as she gets older, I just really love this idea of children helping their parents. I feel like when we were growing up, my parents didn't really have me helping. It was very like, no, I'll do it. Just like you be a kid, like you go watch TV or like whatever, But I kind of wish that I had been taught to do more when I was little.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially say that I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, but I didn't really know how to do my own laundry until I was living with my friend in college. Yeah. And she kind of taught me how to do laundry because my mom always did it, right? Like she was never like, you need to do your laundry now, and so I grew up and then I was like, oh wait, crap. Like I don't know how to do all these things that I need to do as an adult. Right. So, I mean, it's cool. The younger we can teach kids, then they'll be adults and they'll know how to do all this stuff and they won't have to learn like I did. Like what's detergent? What?
Exactly. Well, when I was younger, my sister is several years older than me. So she was in college and I was still pretty young. And, she was telling me that she was having to teach as a resident assistant. She was having to teach like other girls on her floor in her building how to do laundry or just different things. And I was like, wow, really? And I didn't really believe her because I was like, you're exaggerating. Like, it's not really that bad. And then when I went to college and was an RA as well, I was seeing the same things, that there were people who didn't know how to do those things. And I was like, wow, because both of my parents worked my entire life pretty much. And my mom worked a full-time and a part-time job a lot. And so I was a latchkey kid. So I had to make do with a lot of different things. I just had to do things on my own. And even just like getting myself to school in the morning, or getting myself to the bus, making sure that I got up on time and getting there. It was a normal part of how I grew up and what my day was like. It was just, okay, I guess there are people who don't know how to do it. And so I was having to do the same thing, is, helping kind of teach them how to do those types of things. But when you said laundry, it also made me think of last year in the height of quarantine, when I was trying to be a professor, I was trying to run my side business, homeschool my kids, which it wasn't really homeschooling, but they were at home trying to attend school online. And I was like, something has got to give. Like, so I need more help. And, fortunately my husband was working from home too, but he was pretty tied to the computer. So there wasn't a ton that he could do, at least during the day. So one of the things I did with my kids and laundry was, and this sounds so simple, but it like made a huge difference for me, was we do laundry, once a week. And the night before I would tell them, okay, after your shower and all that, bring your laundry basket downstairs. And I taught them how to sort the laundry. And so they learned how to put it in piles, and then they would take their basket up. And then that way, the next day when I started laundry, it was already sorted awesome. And done. So I could just start throwing it in. And it was great because I could start it early in the morning, and on my breaks or in between classes or whatever I was doing, I could just change over the laundry because it was already sorted out into the different piles.
That's great.
So Yeah. So now it's become a normal part of their week, their weekly chore that they bring their basket down and they sort their laundry.
Nice.
And my older son forgot one week. This was a couple of months ago. He forgot to bring his laundry down.
Oh, no.
And I didn't say anything to him. I just did all of the laundry. And they also I put it in the basket and then they take it up and put all their laundry away. So I don't do that anymore either. But
Nice.
I got my younger sons in the basket or whatever. Well, then like the next day he was like, Mom, I don't have any clean shorts or something. I can't remember what it was, but he didn't have some item that was, it was all dirty.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's because you didn't bring your laundry down and so that I could get it washed. And he was like, well, what do I do? And I was like, I guess you're doing your laundry this week. And he was like, well, I don't know how to do laundry. And I was like, I'll show you. I'm happy to teach you how to do it. So he brought it down, he sorted it, and I taught him how to use the washing machine and the dryer. So he had to learn at that point because I was like, dude, I'm not doing a whole second load, of laundry just for you. So he's learned that if he doesn't want to have to do his laundry on his own, he better get his laundry down on the night that, we all get it sorted.
Yeah,
So.
that actually, to tie that back to the article, that reminds me, like sorting the laundry kind of reminds me of the subtasks. Like instead of, having your child like, hey, can you do the laundry? Just, hey, can you sort the colors and non-colors and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm like getting so many ideas from you. I need to like write all this down because I'm not like I like things to be tidy, but and especially right now, like I don't have time to like deep clean.
Right.
And so, I'm definitely like, if I can get little helpers as they get older, that'll be great. Yeah, that's awesome. I think your kids sound great. It sounds like you run a pretty tight ship over there.
I tried. We all have our moments. Believe me, there's some moments, but I do try. And honestly, they are really good kids. So I have to give them some credit. They do a great job.
Nice. I guess that's all the time we have, but thank you so much for being here again. It was fun.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
Want to get in touch with the show? Email us at imperfect@podcastentertainment.com. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Imperfect Moms Club.